You are listening to CBT Beyond the Couch podcast, a podcast featuring two millennial CBT therapists, Ebony and Kanisha, taking you beyond the couch, discussing all things mental health, faith, trauma, relationships, hot topics, and much more.
We have been friends through high school, college, grad school, and are now colleagues working towards combining realistic, holistic, and faith-based interventions to offer healing to all.
While we hope you enjoy listening and learning from our podcast, it does not replace your own journey with your licensed mental health professional.
We hope you enjoy.
Welcome back to another episode of CBT Beyond the Couch. We're your hosts. I'm Kanisha.
And I'm Ebony.
And we are so excited that y'all came back for episode 2.
Yeah, because we get into the nitty gritty in this episode, y'all.
Yes. And if you're watching on YouTube, you can see us. So that's a little bit different from the first episode. So we're very excited about that.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to jump back into how we want the format to go with each episode. So number 1, you already know we're going to do our couch check, which is where we ask ourselves on a scale of 1 to 10 how we're feeling. 1 being very low and 10 being very high. So I guess I can go first. Right now, I feel like I am a 8.
Okay.
I guess first episode I was a 7.
Yeah, I was going to say better than last week.
Yeah, so I'm an 8. I did take last week off to just process everything that's going on. I attended my grandmother's funeral, but then I also just had like I wouldn't say like a mental shock, but just like as we discussed, I just felt burnt out.
Yeah.
So during the week, I had a burnout, I guess, realization, and Kanisha and another mutual friend of ours helped me realize that I really just need to take more time to pour back into myself. And so I feel like I did that by not going back to work after 3 days and actually taking 2 more days off. So, so I feel like just taking the whole week and having time to myself pushed me back up to like an 8.
That's good. I'm happy that we were able to kind of help you to boost up your morale and feel a little bit better. So
I appreciate it. What about you, friend?
I'm going to say, even though I'm still very excited about the podcast, I'm a 9 today only because I'm hungry, y'all. But I am still excited. I'm still in a great mood. Also, last week during our couch check, I mentioned our volleyball last tournament coming up. And today, if you're watching, you see my shirt. We are Palmetto division champs. Let me say division champs, y'all. We wasn't in gold bracket. We were in silver. But we still came out on top, and we won a t-shirt and a medal, so I'm very proud of my girls. So that is great. That would probably put me at a 10 if I wasn't hungry. But yes, other than that, yes, it was a great week. So
congrats.
Thank you.
Good. Love that.
Yes, I'm so happy that it's over. I get my weekends back, so yes.
Yeah. Be outside this summer, baby.
Period.
All right, so then next, as our format goes, we want to just jump into the episode's topic. And this week we
talking about college days.
We were talking about our college days and also how we decided our major and careers and how we got to become therapists.
Yes.
So we have written down a list of things, and we also talked about it for a minute. And we pulled the top 5 moments that we feel like we had in college. That was hard because I felt like we had a lot of time.
So many.
Like, a lot of times, like, having fun, but also, like, that was 10 years ago. So I can't really, like...
Well, freshman year was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
The start of freshman year, yeah.
To, like, pinpoint, like, those moments. All right. Number 1.
So let us say our very first week of college was quite the week. We got there, classes had not started yet, so we was just all feeling each other out and getting to know each other and seeing what the freedom was like. So number 1.
Number 1 is riding in the trunk. Riding in the trunk. So I remember What do I remember? I remember our mutual friend, we're gonna say her name is Danny.
Yeah, we'll call her Danny.
Danny called him up, was like, hey, we want to go out, have partying, and he literally came and picked us up in his Jeep.
But it was like 6 of us, 7 of us?
7 of us in his Jeep, and I was in the middle.
Me and Danny were in the trunk, y'all. I don't know how we were the ones to get put in the trunk. We were riding in the trunk. It's a Jeep though, y'all. It wasn't like a closed trunk. So, but we was sitting in the trunk.
And it just shows like how naive and like vulnerable we were, because we did not know this man. But we was like, we want to have a good time. We trying to show off the new fits.
I think we knew that he was from the same place that we were from.
Yeah.
We didn't know him personally. So yeah, that was crazy.
We pre-game.
Yeah. And then we rode to the party in his Jeep, and yeah. Well, we made it back safely, obviously, because we're still here. But that was a crazy moment. Like,
Crazy moment.
why would we do that?
First week. All right, number 2, we have communications class. Okay, listen. This is so funny to me. And I'll just re-explain to Kanisha, like, how, which you talk about later too, how carefree we were. I remember I was sitting in communications class, which I got a C in. Me and
C's get degrees.
Right. Danny and I had communications class together. And I remember we was like in class, like taking notes or something. And I looked up through the glass part of the door, and I see Kanisha and our other friend just like saying, come on, let's go. Refunds just drop. And what do? I packed my book bag and I'm leaving class because the refunds didn't drop.
Y'all, I do not remember this. Like, but I do believe I did that. Like, I used to just walk out of class when I was over it. So I believe that was like, let's go to the mall.
We went to the mall and we spent our refund check.
Fun times. We was probably lit in that.
And that's probably why I got a C in the class.
C's get degrees. So it's fine. You're here. You have 2 degrees. So it does not matter if you walked out of communications class. So, but that's so crazy because, like, education is supposed to be first. We should not have been influencing you to walk out of class to go shop, to spend a refund check that we still gonna have to pay back.
Make it make sense.
It makes no sense.
But it was fun then.
It was fun. I mean, looking back, it's a great laugh. Yeah. All right, number 3. So, where we went to school, like every winter, pretty much it would snow.
Mm-hmm.
So again, our first year, where we're from, it does not snow very often. If it does, it's very little. It does not stick. So the snow was like a new world for us. So we was, experimenting and, being in the snow. We wanted to go to one of our friends' houses, but we couldn't drive or we couldn't get a ride. So we decided to walk in the snow. How many miles do you think that was? Like maybe 4, 5?
Because the thing about it was that we didn't walk from the road. We just had to walk like from our dorm rooms to the highway.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's not just like a little open your door and that's the road. We had to walk like on the back side of campus.
Yeah. You know what's crazy now? They have that little shortcut to get to where to walk, but we had to walk all the way around. That's funny.
That was at least 3 miles.
Okay.
3.5.
Yeah. In the snow. It's cold.
And then we had like brought stuff with us, like snacks and clothes and like
we was hiking.
Crazy. And this is like the snowstorm that like went like it made history.
Yeah, in Atlanta, that's right.
Yeah, because it was
I didn't think about that.
It was crazy, and because like campus was like, oh, we're not gonna have like be able to bring I guess the cooks in to cook for the commons. Like we have like a cafeteria area. So it was like, okay, well, you know what? We just I called up my friend Keenan. I was like, hey, we bored? Can we come kick it at your apartment for the snow? He was like, yeah. So I told the gang, and we packed it up,
and we decided
and we walked in the snow.
No,
I don't even think I had snow clothes, so I probably just had on sweats and like
absolutely
no gloves, nothing.
Probably not. Like And then I remember one of our friends had on Ugg boots, and she thought that was like really
Snow
snow boots. Like, girl, those are fashion boots. Like, and
They
she
got
kept
messed up.
slipping. That too. Yeah, I don't remember what I had on, but I'm pretty sure I was cold, and I probably was overwalking. That's crazy.
I think Keenan cooked for us. I remember he made that quesadilla. It was like a baked quesadilla,
Girl, I remember that.
like in a lasagna pan.
Oh, wow.
And we ate that. Ate it up.
I remember we played games. I do remember that. Like playing games and, yeah. Fun times. Fun times.
Ho ho, number 4. I'm excited about this one, guys.
Y'all. Okay, I'm gonna let Ebony start because I'm gonna explain myself once she gives her synopsis of the situation.
Okay, Kenesha wrote down number 4 as 3 versus 1 / club fight.
Question mark, because it was an actual fight, y'all. But the question mark is because was it going to be?
Okay. So, I don't know if he explained this in the first episode.
I think a little bit.
A little bit. Okay, so here's the time we're going to explain a period in college where Kenesha and I were not friends. So from my viewpoint of how we became separated, because she was my friend first, let's be clear, but you went with the others.
You're right.
So it's okay, but okay, I'm right. So I'm already right a little bit. Okay. So our freshman year, always together. Like, we did everything together. We made sure some of our classes were together. Everything together. That summer, I started working for the orientation office. And that job required me to work literally almost every day. If I wasn't in the student center, like making the bags for each like student coming, I had to work orientation from 6 a.m. till 6 p.m. Meaning I had to be up like at 4:30 a.m. and I'm not getting back to my dorm room until like 6:30. So that was like 3 times out the week. I'm tired, I'm drained. So like I feel like my life just changed because I had to be, I wouldn't say I wasn't a party girl anymore, but I had to delegate more time to being, I guess, starting my quote unquote leadership skills in my quote unquote career. So I wasn't really in tune with Kenesha and our other friends anymore. And that same summer, I think you guys moved off campus too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they moved off campus. I'm working on campus during the summer. So it's just like this whole dynamic of like, I really can't give you guys as much time anymore. But also, too, was a key point in this time. I had lost my Hope Scholarship. And so I knew then, like, I really couldn't F up. And so I went back into that next semester, like, changing my majors, trying to figure out what I want to do. So, like, my mindset kind of changed. And I felt like I was just so focused on, like, that summer job and also trying to keep my grades up. Mm-hmm. And I felt like I just got lost in, like, in the friendships that we had. But also at the same time, my orientation leader, so I was spending time with them, too, all the time.
Yeah.
So I felt like that's how... About how they become messy.
Okay, so before we go into how it became messy, let me explain my perspective. Okay. So from my perspective, okay, a little bit I was being a follower. But, so like as she explained, like we had moved off campus and we all lived in the same like apartment complex, I guess you can call it, or off campus housing. And like she said, like she was really busy. She was like hanging out with, in our perspective, she was hanging out with new people. She wasn't really like talking to us. So to us, it felt like she was like mad at us because she had to stay on campus and we were able to move off. And again, like she wasn't hanging out with us as much. So it was just kind of like, okay, well, she don't want to be our friend, so F her, like basically. So yeah, that's what it was from kind of like my or our perspective. But knowing me as a person, that's why I said I was being a follower, because I am very understanding and I'm not always the best communicator, but I can go to somebody and be like, what's going on, and be able to understand their perspective. But I didn't do that. I mean, I was young, obviously, too. But being a follower, they was like, she don't want to be our friend. I was like, okay, I guess she don't want to be our friend, so I hang out with y'all. So that's kind of like what it was for me.
That's crazy.
Yeah, looking back, it is crazy. So I don't remember at what point it got messy, but
I think it got messy because of, I don't know, like I told you, I think either it was the making on my door and I wasn't there.
I don't remember that.
You probably wasn't with them. It probably was just the other two. Or like it was like a nasty message sent to me on Snapchat. I remember something like changed my like, yeah, I really don't wanna, I don't care anymore type vibe. It was something that made me feel like I really don't care. Like it is what it is. But as we have the slash club fight question mark, it was homecoming weekend, and it was like a party. I guess probably some fraternity probably throwing a party, and I see them for the first time. I guess like
in a while.
Yeah. And we was looking at each other like, "What's up?" Like. This one push each other? No,
I don't think it went that far. I think it was just looks, like cutting eyes. I mean, I'm pretty sure. Well, I know we were talking junk,
obviously.
But again, knowing me, I mean, I'll fight if I have to. But like, let's be real. Like, am I
was gonna
fight in the club? No, like. Ours not like separate from like this, but my other friends when they be like about to get a fight, like I'll hold everybody's phones, make sure nobody's phones get broken. So that's probably what I would have done. I would have just let them scrap it out and be like, y'all good? Okay, I got your phones, here you go. But no, I was not gonna fight you. But I think like there was a lot of like talk, and they were saying like, you know, you was cutting your eyes at us, and then the people that you was hanging out with didn't like us either. So it's just kind of like it's about to be a girl fight.
But also too, the mutual friend that we have now, her name is Kel Bell. So her personality was very like outgoing,
very, very,
and she was very like not holding back. So if she had a problem with you,
you gonna know.
And she always had that type of like aggression with her. So I feel like I knew like are we about to fight, because yes, her demeanor is like
she's about that life.
She's about that life. So like every time like I did see them and I was like from a distance, I could like just see like her like, oh yeah, like
yeah.
So I feel like that was the are we about to fight part, because just her and how her natural like instinct is.
That's true. Well, we didn't fight, guys. I think we all just kind of walked away from the situation. We probably left the club before you did. So we didn't fight, but that was a very interesting moment.
Yeah. Because it's been situations like that before, but it wasn't me.
What you mean?
Like where we were ready, like we was at places where it was
like us versus other people.
Yeah. So I knew then, like, so it felt weird being the person.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense.
Because there's been times where, like, we didn't talk about it, but there's been times where we was out at kickbacks and
other girl groups were like they hated us. And I say us, but like
it really wasn't us.
It wasn't, because we was just having fun, like being carefree again. So
yeah,
but yeah, so it wasn't a club fight. Could it have been? Possibly, but it wasn't. So we thank God for that. Yeah. So so after that, I know that was a lot of crazy moments, but we've also had like some really good times. So we want to kind of talk about that, because we don't want y'all to think we was just out here wilding in college, which we kind of was. But there were some like very solid like family moments or friend moments that we did have. So one thing that we all used to do together is we used to like cook different meals for each other, and eat in Ebony's room. Whether we cooked in our own room and brought it up, or whether we cooked in Ebony's room and ate together. That was one thing that we did a lot.
We cooked a lot together.
We did.
Yeah.
Parents used to stock us up on the groceries.
Yeah. I used to love when they went back home and got food and brought it back.
Or when my mom used to come up, and because that's when you get more food. Yes, I used to love that too.
Like I can remember now, Kenisha's like signature fried fish, baby. She used to fry that fish.
It's crazy. I haven't fried fish in so long. I don't even know the last time I did that.
And I think you guys love when I made like the bell peppers and sausage.
Oh yeah, crazy. I didn't even used to eat bell peppers, but that's when I started.
Wow.
No, and I remember used to be like, "Do you like it?" And I'm like, "Girl, if I'm not saying nothing, I like it. This food is busting." She'd be like, "Oh, okay." So I know. Yeah, if I'm just smacking and not talking, it's good.
That's funny.
So, but yes, we used to cook together. So me in college. So I've always been a really good writer because I had really great teachers in like elementary and middle school. So by the time I got to college, your girl was writing papers for everybody. I don't even know how I made time for that because I did work like 2 jobs freshman year, but I was writing papers, getting paid, not for my friend, well, did y'all pay me? I don't know.
I think I
Probably in food.
probably paid you in food or something like, yeah.
Yeah, but other people I know, like their outsider friends, paid me cash. So I don't know if that's like you're not supposed to do that or not, but I feel like the statute of limitations. So yeah, I used to write my friends' papers.
Hey, it worked.
It did. I mean,
It worked.
They passed. I don't do that no more though, so don't ask. Listen, I don't got time.
I'm trying to get this PhD. You can help me out.
Listen, I want my PhD too, so I don't know if
Time
I can
for
write
it.
both of our dissertations. That would be a lot, mentally and physically. Yeah. What else did we used to do?
Riding home together
Yeah.
since we all 4 of us lived in Augusta. So sometimes our mutual friend's mom would come and pick us up and bring us home, and then another mom would take us back. And because that was only the first year, because I think the second year we had our cars, but we still would ride home together.
Yeah.
Did we? Yeah, we did. Maybe y'all did.
Yeah, we definitely did. I don't know.
Even the next thing y'all did, hiking.
We did. We used to hike in the summer. That was so fun. But I mean, even though you didn't do it with us, I'm sure you did it.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, so as adults now, we need to go back to Kennesaw and hike the mountain together.
I agree.
Because I have so many pictures of like us hiking or
Yeah, I saw them.
them.
I would see you guys post them.
It's okay. We can do it now and yeah, have new memories.
Yeah. Then the hoop.
Y'all, the hoop. I don't know what it is now or if it's even still a thing.
Hey.
But the hoop freshman year was the spot to be at night.
So baby, it didn't close until like 2 a.m.
Yeah. Them chicken tenders and fries with a nice crisp Powerade used to bless my spirits, okay?
Oh gosh.
Bless my spirit.
It would take
and
swipes.
Danny had unlimited swipes, boy. She used to swipe for all of us.
Yeah.
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 Good times.
Man, good time.
That was some good food, though.
We ate good.
Good food.
The other people would just be hanging out outside the hoop, knowing that we coming, think they can get a swipe off us.
They could. Danny had unlimited. So really, they could. But, I mean, if I was a part of the group, I probably would have did the same thing. Like, hey.
Hey, you got
what's
no
up?
swipe?
You just got me tonight. Bet. Yeah.
Got some swipes.
But another crazy thing, we didn't write this down, but like where your room was located, there was like a fountain right there in the center.
Mm-hmm.
And we used to like watch people do the craziest things. I might still have videos in my phone or maybe like on my Twitter from like people just.
First of all, I remember one time somebody like skateboarding and they crashing and like breaking their arm or something.
Yes.
But then we could also look through like my window and see when the first week, I ain't gonna say his name, but when he got arrested.
I don't know what you're talking about. So the thing about college is, y'all, we met a lot of people. I don't remember a lot of people. Ebony does, so I don't know what you're talking
But
about.
I remember we seeing people getting arrested. Like, dang, like you already know.
You know? Or people like thrown up in the fountain. It was crazy. Crazy.
Or times when other girl groups will be outside looking up inside my room like, oh, there they go. Yep, here we are. We the hot girls. You the lame girls.
That's so crazy.
You gotta show your body to get attention. We just cool.
Right.
We just cool.
That is true. That is true.
Man.
Crazy. But freshman year, for sure. Freshman and sophomore year were very interesting years of college.
Yeah, trying to find ourselves, but having a lot of fun.
Yeah. And that kind of leads us into our junior year, which it was a tough year.
Yeah.
That year, one of the friends that we mentioned earlier, she passed away in a single car accident. Um, and again during that time, like Ebony and I don't remember if we were communicating before it happened, maybe a little bit, but her death really kind of brought us back together as friends. So
I still remember that day. I was at my boyfriend at the time. I was at his house in the bathroom, and I heard my phone ringing. And at this time too, like, I'm in the middle of my process. So I get a phone call, and it's another friend of ours, and they're like, "Hey, you okay?" And I'm like, I think she called me about like some sorority type stuff. So I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good. Like, what's going on?" And she was like, "You must not know what happened." And I'm like, "What?" And she was like, "Our friend Bill." She was like, "She died." I remember just looking at my boyfriend at the time. He could hear her voice, and I was like, "I gotta go." And I remember I left his place, and in the car, I was like, should I call Kanisha? Should I text her? And then I think I text you. It was like, hey, are you okay? I heard what happened. And then I went to my apartment to change clothes. I just remember going straight over to your apartment.
Yeah. No, I definitely remember that day too, like it was yesterday. At the time, I was working at Chick-fil-A, and Danny had called me, and I'm like, why is this girl calling me? She know I'm at work, because she also worked there with me. So I texted her, and I was like, I'm on drive-through, whatever. So she said, I'm on the way. So I'm thinking like, okay, maybe she had a crazy night, because that night we weren't all together. Usually we are, but that night we hung out separately with other people. So I'm like, okay, maybe she could tell me something crazy happened, like with the people she hung out with. And then she gets there. I'm still working drive-through, but her sister comes up and she was like, you gotta come outside. Like, she's not okay. And I'm like, what are you talking about? So I just throw the headset and I run outside, and she's outside like crying. I'm like, what's wrong? Like, what's going on? And she was like, it's Belle. Like, she got in a car accident. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, let's go to the hospital, like, to make sure she's okay. She's like, no, she's gone. And I'm like, no, she's not. Like, girl, what are you talking about? Like, let's just go to the hospital. She was like, no, Kanisha, like, she's gone. And I just remember just like breaking down, and she's breaking down, so I'm like holding her and then like trying to console both of us. And then I think two of our other friends was out there too, like making sure we were okay. And then after I get her to calm down a little bit, I call my mom, and I'm bawling. My mom's like, you need to like breathe and calm down before you drive. So I'm like, okay, mama. So I'm on the phone with her. We make it back to the apartment. And I want to say Augusta from Kennesaw is like supposed to be like 2 hours and 45 minutes. But both of our moms and our family were there for us probably within 2 hours. And then I just remember like going into her apartment and sitting on the kitchen floor and just like bawling my eyes out. Sorry, I'm getting emotional. Because it just didn't feel real. Breathe. But I'm glad we were able to kind of like have family that supported us and be able to support each other. And then that brought us back together, because Ebony did come that day to the apartment, to my place. And she actually even went out to eat with me and my family and stayed the night with me. So, yeah. It was a hard day. And I still remember it like it was yesterday. So.
Yeah.
And actually, I think this year, a few days ago, was 7 years since that happened. So.
Yeah, I came across my memories on Facebook, like our last picture that me and her had took. I like made a post about it, like how like, you know, at that time, like I said, as you guys have already heard, like we were not as close, but when things like that happen, no matter what the situation is at hand, you just support your friends.
Yeah.
Even though her and I wasn't as close at that time, I still felt the impact of it, and I knew even then like Kanisha and Danny felt it even harder. They was with her all the time.
Yeah.
And so I just like, you know, I gotta be there and support. And like she stated, like that was the moment where we realized, okay,
life is short.
Yeah, we gotta like stop like bickering about stuff small, because I'm not around you guys anymore. Like I'm still your friend. But yeah. Because, like, yeah,
Yeah, it put a lot of things into perspective, and I think after that, like me, you, and Danny, like I think we went to your place and we had like this really long talk, just about everything, about the drama, about the good times, and just
yeah.
I think that's when it like started to come back, and we all like definitely like started became friends again, like actual friends again, and not just associates, but we were like friends again. So yeah, full circle.
Full circle.
I did not expect to get emotional.
It's okay, friend. I get it. That's pure. So, wow. Okay. How you feeling?
I'm good.
On scale of, let's do a couch check again. We'll do a quick couch check. How we feeling?
No,
right now?
I'm still good. I think because like our friendship with Belle, she just really made a huge impact in my life. Like I was very insecure and had low self-esteem growing up, and she kind of helped me like find the beauty in myself. Yeah. So I think that's why that friendship was just very important to me. So
yeah, like her personality was just so like I said, she was like ready to fight, but it was like cause you my girl, you my road dog. Like I got you. Like you not finna be coming out here acting crazy around me.
Yeah.
Or like at the same time too, like her refund check dropped first, and she
was taking care of
like
us.
Let's go. Like we good.
I got y'all.
Like
you got me. I got y'all.
Like
I think that's one thing I love about like all of our friendships is never like one person pulling all the way. Like we always like had each other's back, or made sure each other was straight. Like if you ain't got it and I got it, I got you.
Right.
So, and like I said, that goes for like all of us. Like yeah.
So there was times like my car was probably back in Augusta getting fixed. I'm like, hey, I need a ride. Can y'all help me figure it out? Or you at work and you're like, hey, better go see Kanisha. So I get some French fries or something. Or you took in the mall too, right? Where you worked at the mall?
The first year, my first job when we got to college was at Wendy's. That was my very first job.
Yes, fries. Yep.
I hated that job. but I did end up working at the mall at a shoe store shortly after that. So yeah. Yeah. But yeah, that's our college days, y'all. So full of ups and downs, ebbs and flows. But overall, like we really have some really great memories and some really good times. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. So the last part of this episode is pretty much still college vibes, but going more into how we picked our majors and how we decided to be mental health professionals. You want to go first or me?
I'll go first since you went first on the other thing.
Okay.
Okay. So originally, y'all, I started off as a criminal justice major, and the way that I figured out to be a criminal justice major is crazy, y'all. So I watch a lot of TV. I've always watched a lot of TV. Love watching TV. So I was like, I used to always watch Law and Order SVU. That was my show. So I'm thinking, I'm gonna be the next Olivia Benson. Like we finna solve some crimes, Special Victims Unit. So I'm like, all right, criminal justice major. So I go into it, and I still do enjoy like criminal justice. But it was this one professor. She was just a lot, and I was just like, yep, nah, can't do this. So I think that summer, I went to advising, and I don't even know how we got on the conversation of psychology, but I just remember, I think my senior year of high school, maybe I took like a psychology class or something like that. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. No, I think what happened is I took a sociology class. And I was like, okay, this is cool. So I changed my major to psychology and just really enjoyed it. And it was just super easy for me. So that's kind of how I got into the psychology major. Do you want me to go into how I got into the career of counseling?
That's fine.
Okay, so what I didn't know then was that in order to really be successful with the psychology major, you would need a master's. Didn't know that until the end of my senior year. So I decided to take a year off from school, whatever, and I was like, okay, I'll go back to get my master's. But I knew I didn't want to stay in Kennesaw, so I moved back home, honestly, 3 days after I graduated from Kennesaw. And then that fall, I was looking into programs at Augusta University. And I think I was choosing between the mental health counseling and maybe the psychology master's degree. And I did a tour for the psychology one, and they were basically saying, you can't work. You got to be here during the day. And I'm like, who gonna do that?
Well, baby, they didn't cut into your money.
Exactly. So, and I think I was working at the time, using my psychology degree as a case manager. So I didn't want to like quit my job to go back to school. So it made me choose the counseling path. Which did I ever think that I would want to be a therapist? No. I think for me, I always wanted to be a mentor because I've always had such great mentors. But I think I realized that having the therapy background would help me be a great mentor. And also, I just think like God was really just directing my path because a lot of the things that I like that I have become, it was just me going with the flow. Like, okay, well, this should work, or because I only applied to Augusta University, and I didn't even take the test that was required to get into that program. So that's how I know it's God because yeah, I didn't meet the requirements, but I still got into the program. So that's kind of how I got onto the path of clinical mental health counseling. And again, I was already working in case management. So I was kind of already doing kind of therapy. But then once I graduated, I knew because of the sister companies that I would transition over into working with kids. Also because I wanted to work with kids because I want to be a mentor. So that's kind of how I got into this path of mental health counseling. I don't even, again, just God directing it all because
that's beautiful, though.
That was not my initial goal going into college. Again, I wanted to be Olivia Benson. So yeah, God has really directed the path for me. But I enjoyed psychology, which led into counseling. And I guess it was just, again, it came naturally. It was pretty easy. And even now, sometimes when I like doubt myself and I might be in a session and like things just start flowing so well, and I realize like this is helping a kid. I'm like, wow, this is really where I'm supposed to be because yeah, God really made the way for this.
So. Even with like the whole mentor aspect too, I feel like you have a lot of younger teens or even small littles under you that you definitely work well with, like outside of just your role as a therapist.
Yes, I do. I have a lot of mentees and kids, and that includes like my sisters and their friends too. That's kind of how I got some of my mentees. But yeah, I do work with a lot of teens and stuff, teens and kids outside of my job. So, but I enjoy it. Like I wouldn't want to do anything else, I would say. So. And again, that stems from me, like, as a teenager, having so many great mentors. Shout out to y'all. Y'all know who you are. I'm not going to say all y'all names, but that's where it kind of came from. I just always had, like, great women to look up to. Yeah. So I want to be that woman for somebody else. So.
Well, that.
Yeah. I feel like that was a lot. All right. What about you?
I feel like mine probably be longer because I just did too much to get to where I'm at right now. So I got to KSU. I think I had an undeclared major, but then I went and changed my major to exercise science. I wanted to be a physical therapist. In high school I did like the clinical track or mental health track where I was able to become a CNA my senior year, but I had a rotation. Like we rotated in different parts of the hospital, but like my last rotation was working at doctors at like their physical therapy office. But I was like, I want to keep doing this. Like I kept making it in my rotation, kept doing it. So I was like, at that point too, I knew like the blood needles, not with it. But
can't do it.
But if I can help you, like get you back to walking, or like get you to reach your hand up above your head again, like cool, let's do it. So I did exercise science. Your girl took that first chemistry and I failed it, and I was really trying, like studying. I was really trying, y'all. I failed. Took it again, and I told God, I remember being in like my bathroom in my dorm room, was like, God, please show me if this is like what you want me to do. Like, please tell me. Like, I cry. I think I was headed to class to take a test for that, and I knew like this test was going like either I'm gonna pass the class or I'm gonna have to like withdraw and like figure something else out. So I was walking to class to take the test, and one of my other friends, Reagan, he was sitting like in front of the commons, in front of the Perlman Hall, and he was like, he sat down, we was talking, and he was like, Ebony, you ever thought about like being like more like a psychology like type major. I'm like, no, I haven't thought about that. Like, no. So went in, took the test, failed it. And I was like, okay, God, was me talking to Reagan a way for me to change my major. So I go to my advisor. To be brief, I ended up changing my major 4 times. I went from exercise science to religious studies to early childhood to middle grades. And then I was like, and I know I didn't want to be a teacher like in the classroom, so I was like, let me pull away from that. So I did religious studies because I was thinking like, okay, maybe I could be like a Bible teacher, like virtually, or like something like that. Or I always thought I would come out here and be a teacher at Augusta Christian. Don't know why. Not doing that, obviously. But I was like, I want to be confined to a classroom. So then at the same time, I changed my major to human services, which is social work. And also, like I said, I was in the orientation office working. So one of our partners was with like the social services department, because like when kids would come to orientation, we would ask them to bring canned goods or clothes so that other kids or the students could have clothes and food on campus. I was like, wow, that's really dope. So now I went and talked to the director over that, and she was a social worker. And I was like, cool. I said, I want to do what you do, like for college campuses. She's like, oh yeah, well, just change your major to social work and then just get your master's in social work later. I'm like, cool, great. So then also, like guys kept like poking at me. So like Reagan and then talking to the director. But then I got arrested. I got arrested my junior year. Yeah, junior year. For having a suspended license, which I didn't even know was suspended because they sent the ticket to the dorm room address and not my address on my license.
They suspended your license after 1 ticket?
Because it was a super speeder. I didn't pay it.
And we were young. That makes sense. Okay.
And I didn't pay it. So I got pulled over randomly for having my light, the tag, the light above my tag was out, and they pulled me over. And I said, oh, well, ma'am, your license has been suspended for 2 years. And I'm like, okay, all right, I'm just going to call my boyfriend. He can pick me up, and he can take the car home.
Yeah.
They was like, no, ma'am, like, it's a misdemeanor. You have to go to jail.
Yikes.
And I was like, oh, okay. So I go to jail. And in jail, like, I'm hearing, like, my cellmates talk about, like, how they have been able to connect with resources and having, so, like, their probation officers were, like, not doing anything to do. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to get all y'all numbers, and I'm going to help, like, get what y'all need and, like, all this other stuff, which I did do. Still remember one of the girls now. And I was like, you know what? This is social work. And so then I continue on with my degree in human services. I added on leadership studies because I was also, like I said, doing leadership stuff on campus. So I had all these instances where I'm like doing social work, being told that's what I need to do. So I decided to do it. And then I decided, like, I graduated. And then I still graduated 4.5 years, y'all.
Period.
Changed my major 5 times. I still did it. Don't play with me. So then I decided that, okay, as Keisha said, same thing with social work. If you don't have a master's degree, you're very limiting yourself to what you can do. So then I decided to start looking at social work programs in Georgia. And my boss at the time, her great aunt was the first person to graduate with her master's at UGA. So she introduced me to her, and I found, like, you know, all the things I wanted within the program at UGA, because UGA is the only social work program in Georgia where you have both tracks, where you can do clinical side and you can also do the so macro and micro side. So where you do like micros like clinical therapy side, and macros more so like out in the community doing work. So I was able to get both of that. So how I wanted to become a therapist within my program, can't say my program showed me that, but I did take my first mission trip in grad school, and I went to Ethiopia. And there we were working with different populations, and one of the populations were like I guess the mentally ill. So that's what they call like in Ethiopia, if you have a mental disorder, it's a disease, and they treat it as such. So when I was there, I was working with the seniors who had mental disorders, but it was like a whole row of like 50 trees, like back to back, like lined up like this, and they chained each person to the tree.
What?
Because they were afraid that they would hurt themselves or wanted to jump off because like we were so high up. And I was like, this is kind of like slavery,
right?
But in their mind, that's like we're keeping them safe. But I'm like, we gotta do something about this. And they was like, well, we don't have a mental health facility here. And I was like, I want to change that. Like, I want to be a part of mental health.
Yeah.
And that's when I decided, like, okay, I want to be a mental health professional.
Yeah. Yeah.
That moment right there.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's crazy. Like,
yeah. I mean, and it's crazy how God always, again, aligns the path. You know? So, wow.
I do all that. I had to go through all that.
Yeah.
See all
to
that.
where He needed you to be.
Yeah.
And I think also, and I know we talked about this offline, but I think we also had like crazy therapy moments before we even got to like this point.
Yeah.
So I feel like that could also have influenced it a little bit for both of us. Yeah.
Yeah. And also too, like my internships, like I wanted them to be completely different. Like every internship that I got selected was being a therapist.
God. That's God.
Like I was supposed to go to Ghana and like do the same thing I was doing. My last part of the internship, but COVID happened. I was like, well, you have to be a virtual therapist. Cool.
Wow. Yeah.
And here
we are.
Here we are.
But yeah, so and we are therapists, and this is how we got here. But also just wanting to kind of educate our community, and again, like be the. Well, for me, be the woman that I had in my life. And for you, just being able to link people to resources and help people, like, take care of their mental health. Like, all of those things kind of go together with this podcast as well.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yes. We good, aren't we? We good.
Yes. Okay, so we know this episode has been a little bit longer than the last one. So we hope you enjoyed the conversation, though. I did not expect to get as vulnerable as I did.
I love
y'all, I am not a crier.
I love
like, she know I do not cry.
No.
So, yeah, y'all got on the second episode. That's crazy. It's not happening again.
Don't say never.
Wow. So now we're going to our last segment of the episode, which is pulling our coping skills and our affirmation for the week. So Ebony has her coping skill, and I'm going to read the affirmation.
All right. Coping skill is journal. Write out your thoughts, feelings, and what you think are your triggers. I definitely know what mine are. You saw me trigger last night.
Yeah.
We don't talk about that.
No, we don't. Yeah,
another episode.
We gonna say that. So that, but journaling is a great coping skill. I think we talked about that in the last episode as well.
Yeah, and what?
We have journals.
Keep them.
Yes.
On deck.
I have so many. All right, and this is kind of crazy because I spoke about a little bit about confidence and self-esteem. So, but the affirmation is I feel confident and empowered. So,
I love
that.
Oh,
yes, I really do. Like, that is where I'm at this stage of life. I'm very confident and very empowered. Like, you can't tell me I'm not that girl.
You are.
Period.
Period.
You are too. Thanks. Yes. But we hope you enjoyed this episode. We hope you learned something, again, either about us or about yourself. And we hope that you remember to take these skills beyond the couch. So we'll see y'all next week.
See you next week.
Bye.